all aspects of the game, and you know, he wants to. It seems like he wants to put out 5 guys that can hoop and 5 guys that can go and that are tough, and that are gonna play hard. So, you know, I think I fit right in. Just talking with my teammates too, I think everybody likes to be somewhere where you know, there's a lot of opportunity, where there's a lot of trust. I think a lot of belief from the coaching staff,
Mm-hmm.
And some freedom. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my role. You know, I came here, you know, to have an increased role than what I had at Illinois, and to help us win a lot of games. And I think we got a good squad, right here.
You feel like, based on what you know about yourself, your health, and what South Carolina has, I mean, you're expecting to come in and be a 30-minute a night guy for them, 30 minutes plus, that kind of a player?
I think, you know, I think everything has to be earned. It has to be earned. I don't want to come in and be entitled any type of way, but I think that eventually I could be, yes. Like, I think that's what I'm working for, and you know, those are my goals, absolutely. But you know, one of the good things about Coach Ferris, I feel like that everybody's gonna get a chance, and everybody's gonna have to compete, and everybody's gonna have to work. No different from me coming from Illinois. Like, there's an expectancy, there's a role to fill, there's some, you know, there's minutes that's gonna have to be played. But it's still up to me to earn. I'm here for that challenge, and you know, I fully accept it. And that's what I'm working for.
All right, sounds good. What's your major going to be at South Carolina, and how many different languages do you speak?
So I speak 3 languages that I'm fluent in. I speak English, Dutch, and French.
Mm.
And then my major, I graduated in Bachelor in Psychology at Illinois. So I'm starting law school in the fall.
You're doing what?
Yeah, I'm starting law school. I have 3 years of eligibility left, so that would match up great with you know, completing my JD degree.
Well, how are you going to go to law school and play basketball?
Yeah, it's going to be challenging, but we look through it with the academic side. We look through it with the deans at the law school, and you know, just because it's hard, don't mean it's possible. So you know, academics have always been very important to me, and yeah, I'm trying to take full advantage of my years of school, my years of eligibility, and the opportunities ahead of me.
Wow, that is something. All right, before we let you go, so I got to hear what Go Gamecocks sounds like in Dutch.
Go Gamecocks? It'd probably be it'd be the same thing basically. Go. I mean, it'd probably be come on, Gamecocks. Or
I mean, there's no word in Dutch for Gamecocks.
A gamecock? What was that, like a rooster?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the team. You'll be a Gamecock. You know, South Carolina Gamecocks.
A Gamecock. I have no idea what the Dutch translation is of it. Let me Google it real quick.
That's okay. Take your time. We'll find out from you another time on that. But yeah, you're a fighting Gamecock now. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But it's like, you know, the literal translation is kind of. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Dutch. I don't think we got one of those.
You don't have those over there. Okay. Well, listen, we appreciate you being with us. Going to be great watching you play this year for the Gamecocks and see you develop and all these new guys coming together as one. So best of luck to you. Enjoy your time here in South Carolina. One day we might be calling you Judge. So best of luck in law school as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Thank you so much. Benjamin Bosmans Verdonk. Or we might call him Verdunk. We might just call him Sir one day. We might call him Judge one day. Going to law school and going to play college basketball at the same time. That is a tough double right there. As anybody who goes to law school can tell you, that is a tough double. Okay. Appreciate him being with us. Thank you for the patience there as we pieced all that together. We're going to hit a break, and hopefully we'll come back on the other side. Don't go away.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR Major. It's always a good time for folks to remember to get those licenses renewed.
Doesn't matter what time of the year, it's always a season in, whether it's fishing or hunting. Make sure to check your licenses, make sure they're up to date. If you need a hunting or fishing license, you may go to www.dnr.sc.gov to purchase your license online or to any local licensed vendor in your local area.
And don't forget to join us for SC Wild from DNR with Major Billy Downer on Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams, and you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
All right, thanks again to Benjamin Bosman's Verdonk for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. If y'all could only see what goes on behind the scenes when there are technical snafus. My man Frank, though, he has handled it extremely well. And he's a very nimble guy for somebody who's got to be, I'm going to guess, now you maybe 200. 215. Okay, I was trying to be nice. Well, 215 is not bad. 215. Is that Chris? Do we have him connected with us at this point? Yeah, we got 5 seconds before the break. And we'll get to him after the break. Also, MJ Ward. Hey, don't worry. When MJ takes over, the rest of us can sit back and relax because he'll have plenty to say about what's happening up at the U.S. Open. So MJ Ward coming up. The recruiting recap coming up. As you know, USC and Clemson both got commitments today. And SC Wild. I got some great questions and topics for Major Downer tonight. Do you have any questions or comments about things on the outdoors besides the heat? He'll answer them. Back in a moment.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Federal Reserve has approved a big interest rate hike. More from correspondent Ed Donahue.
The 0.75 point increase is the largest in nearly 3 decades.
We thought that strong action was warranted at this meeting, and today we delivered that.
Inflation has reached a 4-decade high. Chair Jerome Powell says the big rate hike is a sign it's struggling to curb the pace and persistence of inflation.
Inflation has obviously surprised to the upside over the past year, and further surprises could be in store.
Inflation has shot to the top of voter concerns leading up to Congress's midterm elections, raising the likelihood of Democratic losses in November. Ed Donahue, Washington.
President Biden on Wednesday called on U.S. oil refiners to produce more gasoline and diesel, saying their profits have tripled during a time of war between Russia and Ukraine as Americans struggle with record high prices at the pump. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says oil refiners should do everything possible to produce more and take in smaller profits.
We are calling on them to do the right thing, to be patriots here, and not to use the war as an excuse or as a reason to not put out a production, to not do the capacity that is needed out there, so that the prices can come down.
2 U.S. veterans from Alabama who are in Ukraine assisting in the war against Russia haven't been heard from in days and are missing. The U.S. State Department says it is looking into reports that Russian or Russian-backed separatist forces in Ukraine had captured at least 2 American citizens. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 303 points. The Nasdaq rose 270. The S&P advanced 54. Oil down to $115.31 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
We've all heard home is where the heart is. It's also where the money is. Discover how a cash-out refinance can work for you. It's your money. Contact American Financial Network today at AmericanRates.net or call 1-888-WE-APPROVE. The Dream Team at American Financial Network has a streamlined process for you to take advantage of your equity faster. Check out the Dream Team and their new and improved quick application at AmericanRates.net. That's AmericanRates.net or call 1-888-WE-APPROVE. NMLS 237341. Branch NMLS 2139622.
The House committee investigating the attack on January 6, 2021, has released footage tied to a tour Georgia Republican Congressman Barry Loudermilk gave the day before, showing a man taking photos of hallways in the Capitol complex before ultimately attending the rally itself. We hear more from Capitol Hill correspondent Bernie Bennett reporting.
Loudermilk has acknowledged showing a small group of constituents around House office buildings the day before the attack, but said that those participants, quote, immediately turned back once they saw the chaos developing at the rally. But video shared by the committee claims one of the men was at the riot, showing clips of the unarmed man marching toward the Capitol the morning of January 6th. Loudermilk's office on Tuesday shared a letter from the Capitol Police Chief saying of its own review of the footage, quote, we do not consider any of the activities we observed as suspicious. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down this evening to 75 and gear up for another warm one tomorrow, just not as warm. Thursday's high is a brisk 97 degrees. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds and a 20% chance of afternoon showers for Friday, back up to 99 as our high with more of the same. Mostly sunny for the weekend with no rain. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right. We are whole once again. Everything seems to be turned on now and working, and we've got our man Chris Bergen. How are you? Good to have you with us. Hope you enjoyed the free hour off that we gave you.
And then a shortened second hour. I'm in high cotton over here in Florence, but I will say this: obviously, Murphy's Law Wednesday night, huh?
Exactly. I mean, if it's going to go wrong, maybe it's gone wrong, and now we'll have smooth sailing the rest of the way.
You know, Jim Lovell said the same thing about Apollo 13 when they had a little computer glitch long before the explosion on board. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But no, good to see you guys got me back up and running, and I listened to a good bit of the first hour before our local affiliate here in town, whatever, to the Braves. You handled it about as well and with as much class as you possibly could, considering nothing was working correctly.
Well, between not being able to get you connected and trying to watch the Kilgore press conference with a screen that was not the right way, you know what I'm talking about?
That was radio gold, by the way.
I mean,
your play-by-play of a recruitment video, Phil, priceless.
He was vertical when we needed him to be horizontal, you know? So I'm trying to, and then, of course, I can't hear anything. And they decide, of course, to have everybody there give a speech. And that went on and on and on. And then he reaches into a bag and he puts one cap on. I knew it wasn't the South Carolina cap because it looked purple. And then he puts on another cap that looked black, and it looked like it had a Gamecock logo on there. And so that's a good pickup for South Carolina. Good day for both USC and Clemson on the recruiting front.
Yeah, doing a great job, especially the Tigers coming off that tremendous weekend, weekend plus ago. And they've reeled them in, and looks like Carolina trying to do the same thing off their big weekend this past weekend. So both teams doing a nice job here in summer recruiting. Got to keep it up, though, because it's not like anybody's going to rest on their laurels. I saw where if you buy into recruiting services, and I know you don't, the Gamecocks are sitting, 8th or 9th in the SEC for whatever that's worth. So props to them. I mean, they're doing a nice job. The problem is everybody else in their league does a really, really good job too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the SEC. That's the world they live in. Mm-hmm. You know, we'll give you the rest of the recruiting coming up in just a little bit. But right now, let's turn our attention to the U.S. Open, which begins tomorrow up in Brookline, Massachusetts, outside of Boston. And I guess they'll turn their attention to actually hitting golf balls, slicing, hooking, bunkers, birdies and bogeys and double bogeys and pars, maybe an eagle here or there. Let's welcome in M.J. Ward, international golf journalist, friend of Sports Talk, who travels the world covering the world of golf, which has been turned upside down in the last few weeks. You know, it's great to have you with us again, MJ. Thank you for being with us from the Open this week. And, you know, you told us a while back when this live golf thing was coming about that it was going to shake up the golf scene. I guess we really didn't realize it until it came to pass and they were leading up to their first event. And then players started jumping over there and the PGA started reacting to all that. And I'm telling you, seems like there's some hard feelings from the PGA side of things, from players who are committed to the PGA Tour, some hard feelings toward those guys who made the jump to the Live Tour.
Well, I think, Phil, what's going to happen is there's still a lot of cards to play out with this. You know, right now, from the sources that I've talked to here in Brookline for the Open, This situation is far from being settled. I think what's important to realize when the commissioner was on with Jim Nance when they had the Canadian Open, he did not mention the duration of whatever the suspension is because he doesn't know himself what that would be. It's hard to envision that the live is going to disappear right away. But on the other side of the coin, and I did mention this to you, the staging of professional golf events and what countries they are played in. The PGA Tour has had events in China, so it's not like the live situation with the Saudis is a one timer and it's only related to what's happened in that part of the world. It's really about should professional sports be in locations that are not necessarily democratic governments or governments that are at least westernized in some form or fashion. That this is going to be an ongoing debate. As far as the hard feelings that you're talking about, I think some of that is partly, I think, envy from certain players that they didn't make the jump, or they think they're not getting as much money, or that the other guys are getting somewhat too much money because their play has not really been indicative of getting that kind of money. But at the same time, I can tell you after seeing the press conference and being there when Phil was interviewed, when he was hit with the question that he had received a letter from the families of the fallen victims of 9/11, that letter was very, very direct and very frank about how they felt that the athletes who had made that call, the golfers, clearly were not doing any justice to the people who had given their lives. And obviously, and again, this is a matter of record, the bulk of the people who were involved in the 9/11 attack were Saudis. And this is a situation that is going to have ramifications down the line. We shall see how this all plays out. I think more importantly, though, I have to say that the USGA deserves credit in making the right call, because if they had interceded and cut somebody out of the event, they would have put themselves between a rock and a hard place. The Open is open. The gentlemen that are involved did qualify correctly for the championship. And the matter that's involved here is really between LIV and the PGA Tour. So this will all have to get played out. But, the smart thing was they had Phil Mickelson do his press conference early in the week, and then we could kind of shift focus to really what the tournament is about, which is crowning the champion of American golf. And being back at Brookline for the first time in 34 years, I can tell you that the excitement level is at a high pitch. The fans are excited about it, and they really want to see some really good golf, and we're going to hopefully see that for 72 holes starting tomorrow.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's the course look like? Like you mentioned, over 30 years since they've been there. It's one of the most popular stops on the U.S. Open rotation. I guess you call it a rotation. How's the course look? I'm sure it's in pristine shape and ready to go. How do you think it'll play?
Oh, I think one of the things that people will be unique about the country club, the New England area has a number of different unique sites in which rock and rock outcroppings come into play. And it's amazing when the golf course was designed well over 100 years ago, and then it was updated recently by Gil Hanse, who has become the Open doctor in making sure that golf courses are able to handle the caliber of play that you see. What people are going to see on television is you're going to see holes that are slotted through moundings. Many of the mounds that are there are completely natural to the property itself. So you're going to see a variety of different holes. The first 4 holes out of the gate really will test players. They're going to have to come out and really show what they've got. There's an opportunity at the midpoint in the round for players to get back some of the shots they may have lost on earlier holes. You're also going to see a very short par 3 of 131 yards, which will play even less than that. This was one of the holes that was not part of the routings for the 63 and the 88 U.S. Open. It was a part of the 1913 U.S. Open that Francis Ouimet won. So you're going to see some different things, and you're going to see holes with very small greens. Besides probably Pebble Beach, the country club has probably some of the smallest square footage of greens, probably around 4,300 to 4,400. To give fans an idea of what that means, Usually greens are in the range of 6,500 to 7,000 square feet. And Gil Hanse, when he did the updating of the golf course, he wanted to make sure that the greens themselves could be expanded back to what they were originally. So even though they've been increased to what they are today, they still present small targets. And many times you're hitting both up to the hole and you're hitting somewhat down to the hole. So gauging the proper club selection is going to be crucial. Right now, the way the golf course is set up, I think it's fantastic the way it's set up. I mean, I've been covering the U.S. Open. This is my 35th. So I've seen many of the different courses that have been used over many years, and the golf course right now is looking fantastic. I think it's going to be a great championship. Every Open that has been played at the Country Club has resulted in a playoff, so it would not surprise me to see a very contested tournament. As far as weather factor goes, they're looking at possible thunderstorms maybe late Friday, but in terms of the overall weather pattern, it should be good for the duration of the tournament. And this will be a real benefit to the USGA because then they can apply water where they need to apply it if necessary. But right now, the golf course is looking good, and I think for many of the players, it's getting the exposure to what a classic New England golf course really looks like. And I think people who will see the course for the first time, probably since the 99 Ryder Cup matches, it'll be an interesting treat to really see. They've done some different things, but the overall feeling that I get from looking at what's available right now, I think you're going to see a really first-rate U.S. Open championship without the weather being, a factor where you're going to get heavy wind or maybe heavy rain coming down. I think it's going to be wide open, and I think the players that are on form, the ones that we saw last week at the Canadian Open, whether it's Rory McIlroy or Justin Thomas, a number of these players are on form coming into the championship, and it will be interesting to see, how this plays out. But I think overall, it's just great to be back in New England, and it's really something to see it at the Country Club.
At Brookline, last time it was there back in '88, winning score before the playoff was -6, and then you go back in time to the previous time it was there back in the '60s, the winning score was 9 over. So,
right.
I mean, how's the course look in terms of is it going to give up some shots? Is it going to take away some shots? Which way is it going to play compared to the last two times?
Well, the 63 event, without going down memory lane, because I wasn't there, but having read about it and seen tape, that New England winter was a very tough winter, and grass growth came in slow, and they were also impacted by very cool temperatures and heavy wind was blowing for the duration of the event. That's why the scores were as high as they were. It's the highest scores in relation to par in the modern era for the U.S. Open. In terms of where things are today, the golf course is only going to, when I say only, I mean in terms of length, it's going to play roughly about 7,200 yards. It's a par 71. But given the talent level of the players that are out here today, I would, unless somebody were to really do something silly with the golf course, and I mean it has happened in the past that the USGA sometimes has gotten a little overzealous. But I think given the talent level of the players there, it's hard to contain these guys below double-digit under par. I wouldn't say it's impossible. U.S. Open pressure is unique. Clearly, there's a lot at stake in terms of what will happen. But, when these guys get on a run, there are holes on the golf course that are very gettable if they are able to put, things together. But the key is going to be, can you get out of the box for the first 4 holes? If you can do that, 3 of them are long par 4s. The second hole is an uphill long par 3. That's going to be really crucial to see what goes on. I don't think it's going to matter in terms of the tee time between AM and PM in terms of who goes in the morning wave or the afternoon wave, because I don't think the weather pattern is going to be that much of an issue. This is not going to be like Kiowa was for the PGA Championship. So I think there's going to be a lot of open possibilities here, no pun intended, for any number of players to surface. But I don't think you can ever discount the players who are on form right now. I don't think anybody finds their game necessarily by going to U.S. Open. I think you have to have your game at a certain point, and then maybe you sharpen it as the week goes by. But like anything else, a U.S. Open, when you're playing for that kind of a championship title, there's many different factors that can come into play as you come down the final stretch of holes, given the magnitude of what's at stake.
Mm-hmm.
MJ Ward with us tonight from Boston, getting ready for the U.S. Open. Starts tomorrow here on Sports Talk. Joining us tonight to give us a preview. And MJ, my favorite golf tournament every year is the U.S. Open because I love that it's hard to go win a national championship. I think that should be the case. My second favorite event in golf is the Ryder Cup, and I think Brookline is probably known mostly for that 1999 Ryder Cup with Ben Crenshaw's prediction. I've got a feeling. I've got a good feeling about tomorrow, and then Justin Leonard sort of delivers on that. The way this is set up for a U.S. Open is obviously going to be different than the Ryder Cup. But with that being said, and some of the things you just pointed out, is it set up down the stretch that you could have somewhat of an exciting finish where someone might be able to come from, say, 2, 3, 4 shots back to win a U.S. Open, similar to what the Americans did in 1999?
Yeah, I mean, when you say about the U.S. Open, I mean, it's in my opinion that of the 4 major championships, the 2 Opens are I would say the first among equals. Not to take anything away from the Masters or the PGA Championship, but they are the oldest of the tournaments, the 2 Opens. And you know, if you look at the modern history book and you look at the top players, the greatest names have risen to the top at the U.S. Open, whether it was Bob Jones, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods. I mean, that's it right there. The 4 names I just mentioned are always near the top in terms of the all-time great players. As far as the U.S. Open setup goes, I believe that they have, I don't want to get way ahead of myself with the USGA, but I also think that's important to point out that, you know, how to set up a golf course is a very dicey situation. I know that in years past, the USGA was very much fixated on making sure that players would have a extremely difficult golf course. And, you know, there's a balancing act between having something that's extremely difficult and then something that's impossible. That has happened in the past. And when you do that, you cheapen what the title means when you say, you know, and you're presented as U.S. Open champion. So I think really what it comes down to, I see the golf course right now as being set up really perfectly. I think the conditions are great. The weather pattern here is not going to be oppressively hot. I think it's about as ideal as it gets for having a U.S. Open, you know, championship. But I also think, as you said before, and I agree, when you come down the stretch, you have to be able to zone that out and play really one shot at a time until you get to the clubhouse, and then, you know, you add it all up and you see who wins. It's going to be a really interesting test. I would say, again, watch out for the 17th hole because it's a par 4. It's not a long par 4. But that is the hole where Justin Leonard sunk the miraculous putt that he did in the 99 Ryder Cup matches. And it's the hole where Francis Ouimet actually took out, you know, Harry Vardon and Ted Ray when he won back in 1913. So, you know, there's a lot of history involved with this place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the 5 founding members of the USGA. And, you know, to be back in New England, which has got a home for a lot of great golf throughout Massachusetts and throughout the New England area. But the country club is literally no more than 10 to 15 minutes tops from the inner core area of Boston. Clearly, the Celtics are a big topic of conversation because you have game 6 will be played tomorrow night. And so, you know, there's going to be a lot of interesting things, but the Open is very much first and foremost on the minds of many people here. And the crowd turnout, I think, is going to be probably one of the best in the post-pandemic era.
All right. MJ, thank you so much. Enjoy the night. We'll catch up with you tomorrow night, 6:30 here on Sports Talk. Get a live update from round 1. Thank you, sir. Talk to you tomorrow. All right, MJ Ward with us from up in Brookline, Massachusetts here on Sports Talk. And he'll be with us tomorrow night as well as on Friday night as well to give us live reports from there. And we'll see how things play out. I, like you, Chris, I like a hard U.S. Open.
Indeed.
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't hurt my feelings if they're over par.
No,
or
not at
around
all.
par. I'm all in favor of that. I want to see them have to fight it. I want to see them have to struggle out there some. I want those greens rolling at about 13, 14, 15 maybe. Back in a moment.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Peanuts and baseball. The perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
All right, give me the recruiting report here in the last 5 minutes before we get to SC Wild, brought to you by our great friends at Seawells. The daily luncheon buffet for you once again tomorrow. Don't forget about that from 11 till 2. Absolutely delicious and only $13. And for the very best in the catering business, of course, at Seawells, SeawellsCateringSC.com. Give them a call at 803-771-7385 for more information. So again, South Carolina gets the commitment from Jelon Kilgore, 6'2", 196, Eatonton, Georgia. Third safety commitment in the class for South Carolina, joining Cameron Upshaw, and also joining in the Gamecock class at the safety position, as we talked about earlier, Zabari Sandy, giving the Gamecocks 3. Chose the Gamecocks from a short list that he also listed as Clemson, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Tennessee Tech. Took his official to USC last weekend, a week after visiting Oklahoma. He also went to both schools for their spring games. But he had talked about South Carolina before and how he really loved the culture that Shane Beamer is building there, and he really likes the idea of playing for Torian Gray. Earlier in the day, for the third straight day, Clemson got a public commitment. Defensive tackle Victor Burley, 6'4", 278, out of Warner Robins, Georgia. He chose Clemson over Tennessee and Georgia. Visited Clemson unofficially, made officials to Tennessee and Michigan State, canceled a planned official at Georgia last weekend. He talked about the Clemson structure being similar to what he has at Warner Robins and making his announcement on CBS Sports HQ. He likes how the focus is on the player and the person development in the program, and he believes that Dabo Swinney has set the bar high for him when he arrives there, giving him a chance to come in and play early and help the Tigers to continue to win. And, of course, he has history with Nick Eason, who recruited him when he was at Auburn, and the two are related. I think they're like second cousins or something like that. And he is a type of guy, 6'4", 278, can play inside or outside. So the Tigers pick up another commitment. Next in line for them, linebacker D. Creighton from Alpharetta, Georgia, who's announcing on Saturday at 2 o'clock. 24, offensive tackle Cam Pringle of Woodland, one of the top prospects in the country in his class, been to both USC and Clemson recently. Was offered by Clemson June 1st. Got a long list of offers, including USC and many others from across the country. and he enjoyed being up at both programs here recently with Clemson. He worked with Thomas Austin, or met with Thomas Austin. Didn't work out at Clemson, but met with him, the new line coach, and got to know more about him. And at South Carolina, he worked out some with Greg Atkins and got in some work in the Gamecock camp. Both of them are high up on his list. Both of them will be on his short list when he gets around to naming that. And wide receiver Tyler Williams of Lakeland, Florida, wraps up his official visit with USC tomorrow. He goes to Texas A&M on the 24th. He's also been to Clemson and Georgia. And defensive tackle Peter Woods of Alabaster, Alabama, has set July 8th for his announcement. Clemson, one of the finalists there. Clemson in the top 8 with offensive tackle Stanton Ramel of Alabaster, Alabama. USC offered 24 defensive end Stephen Souls of Powell, Tennessee, defensive end Jacob Smith of Connecticut. He's in the 24 class. And also 24 defensive tackle Gerard Smith of Connecticut. And Lakewood corner Brandon Cisse committed to NC State. We'll be back with it.
Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down this evening to 75 and gear up for another warm one tomorrow, just not as warm. Thursday's high is a brisk 97 degrees. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds and a 20% chance of afternoon showers for Friday. Back up to 99 as our high with more of the same. Mostly sunny for the weekend with no rain. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Enjoy the sounds of summer from Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Cannonball!
Enjoy the taste of summer too with amazing hand-tossed pies, cool, crisp salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
Honestly, love the product. It gives me energy, and it's not just in your mind. It makes you feel good. I mean, it really does. I'm somewhat good about eating. Well, I eat a lot of fruit, but I'm not quite as good at the vegetables, although I do, salads, and we do, different vegetables, but nobody can get the variety that these have in it. And that's, I think, I don't know, it just it gives me energy. It truly does. And I like that feeling. It's just an absolutely fantastic product.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, I'm Master Deputy Addie Perez with the Richland County Sheriff's Department Community Action Team. As a mother, I know it's important to take care of my health for those I care about. Part of doing that is knowing my risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So if I was you, I'll take the opportunity to visit inittogethersc.org and take an online test to find out if you have prediabetes. Again, the website is inittogethersc.org. This message is brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Oh, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Process of connecting with Major Downer. Why should that go smoothly? Nothing else has gone smoothly tonight. We're in the process of trying to hook up with Major Downer and get him on board with us for this edition of SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. As soon as we get the Major, we'll bring that to you. In the meantime, update a few other things from today and a couple of other things that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Oh, you know what? I had a couple of other recruiting things that I get a chance to touch on. So I'll do that now. This gives me that opportunity. So tight end Jackson Carver of Culver, Indiana, who had a USC offer, committed to Miami after an official visit there last weekend. And Clemson put out some new offers. Offensive tackle Jamison Riggs of Hiram, Georgia, 6'5", 280. And offensive tackle Daniel Calhoun of Roswell, Georgia, 6'5", 330. And the 24 class, these are all 24 class, offensive guard Jordan Seaton, 6'6", 295 of Washington, all getting Clemson offers. Basketball, 2024 guard Cam Scott of Lexington was offered by Miami. 6'11", James Scott of Fayetteville, North Carolina, committed to the College of Charleston. USC re-offered 24 guard K.G. Green, who is from Columbia but attends Pace Academy in Atlanta. And the Gamecocks also in basketball made another re-offer, I guess you could say. Somebody asked me on Twitter, what is a re-offer? Well, they were originally offered by the Frank Martin staff, and now the new staff of Lamont Paris have come in and offered. And, of course, it was just midnight tonight was the start time for when you could start contacting the rising juniors, the members of the 24 class. So that's why you're seeing a lot of that today as coaches are making contact with those in the 24 class. So another re-offer for South Carolina, Jasim Felton, 6'5" shooting guard out of Gastonia, North Carolina. He heard from the Gamecocks and was re-offered by them. So that completes everything that we have on the recruiting side of things. All right, not connecting with Major Downer at this particular point. So maybe we should reconnect with Chris because he wanted to say something about George Washington and them dropping the name Colonials and going to something else. The Wooden Teeth is what I suggest they go to. If you don't get the maybe we're getting the Major now as Frank is talking with him. One other note I wanted to get to we haven't talked to this week is the NCAA now with its newly found manhood going after schools who they view as violating their rules regarding NIL, and Miami apparently being one of those schools, and the NCAA enforcement people interviewing several people around the Miami program, including that billionaire booster, John Ruiz. A story by Sports Illustrated now. But with that, we're going to shelve that because it is time for SC Wild. We have connected now with Major Billy Downer on this Wednesday night. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good to be here. Glad to hear your voice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I know you got things you want to talk about, but I want to begin with bears. So I saw a story. I saw a couple of things. Saw a story about bears in the coastal area of South Carolina becoming more prevalent this time of year, and maybe in this particular year being a little more prevalent and being a little more noticeable. And then secondly, I saw a story about a family, not around here. They were somewhere out west. They were hiking, and a bear, I think it was a black bear, started following them. But they were very smart, and they were veteran hikers, so they knew what to do. They didn't panic. They kept their cool, and everything was fine. There was no problem. What I wanted to ask you is, A, what's going on with the bear population around the coastal area of South Carolina? And B, should a person come upon a bear while out for a hike or a stroll or just walking or jogging, what advice do you have for that person to avoid a bad ending?
Okay, so a couple questions laced into that one. So let's piece that out a little part at a time here. So number one, coastal bear population. So most people are aware of that black bears are in South Carolina in the mountains. Everybody knows that. They've been in Smoky Mountain National Park, whatever. They see them in western North Carolina. Most sportsmen are aware that the coastal bear population in North Carolina is very prolific. Just like that in South Carolina, we have a bear population that has grown tremendously. We've talked about that on shows in the past on our coastline, particularly in swampy areas, a lot of wet areas there. Not just wet areas, but also dry areas too, pine forests too. But they do stick to your river plain system and your flood plains, basically, for the water source and just how they live. Now, just to give examples, a large black bear is in the 450-pound range. That's a really big black bear, 450, 500 pounds. Typically, it's a really big black bear. Those are common in eastern North Carolina because they have a lot of crops and a lot of food to eat. Our bear population not necessarily has the food source that eastern North Carolina does, but we do have a lot of bears. And we've talked about this before. When you travel up and down 17 and up there on some of those quick connectors, and you see those kind of small pine forests, you don't think about bears, but they're everywhere there. They get hit on the road a lot, and we do have an open population for bears in that side of the state. I mean, open season, not open population. Sorry, a season for bears there, based on it opens, and we have allotment of a certain amount of tags people are able to purchase online that they put in for them in the coastal unit areas over there. It goes Williamsburg basically back east, and once we fill that number of quota that we want to take, the season shuts off. So it's based on a quota system. Basically, it's a number that we say, okay, we can take this many bears in the area. So that number's gotten bigger because we've got a larger population. Last year, just an indicator again of how healthy our bear population is, the legislature pushed for the ability to bait bears in the eastern part of the state, and that did pass for that section. So certain counties on the eastern side of South Carolina can bait for bear. That was a huge change for us transition because bait typically always makes it easier to take an animal. So that's just another indicator that our population is doing well enough to sustain that. Not necessarily the best idea, but most states that have a bear season allow baiting. Just the fact of the matter. North Carolina does that as well. And the baiting is basically, not to go on side topic, but baiting is only non-processed foods. A lot of people will use honey buns and things of that nature, Snicker bars, to bait bears. And that sounds funny, but in North Carolina, so illegal hunters will take Snicker bars and hide under a corn pile to attract the bears. So officers there like us have to look for that. Looks like a little innocent corn pile sitting there, but there's a Snicker bar hidden up underneath, and the Snicker bar is there to get that bear in. They like their sweets, kind of like Boo Boo. So yeah, I know everybody remembers that. So but anyway, that is, so when you have a coastal population, it is a quite large population. As far as how many animals, I don't know. We do a show typically when it gets toward boat bear season. We'll talk about the numbers. So I don't know what our population on the coast is, but I do know we do have bears in the 400-pound range. We have a lot of bears that are a lot less weight than that. And typically, so that's just where they are. Now, hikers walking through the woods encounter a bear. A lot different than a grizzly bear encounter or Alaskan brown bear. It is totally different. So the black bear is not coming to eat you in South Carolina. Black bears typically are going to react just like a deer. When they see you, they're running off. If you surprise one, they're running off. The only time that might not be true is if they have cubs and you have a sow. It's a female bear with cubs. She may try to protect her cubs and come towards you. Typically, not going to bite you, that kind of thing. The people that have gotten bitten by bears in the state are people that are handling bears and traps and things of that nature. That's happened. Somebody got bit one time after a bear got hit on the road, and they were trying to handle the bear and they got bit. So again, it wasn't a bear attack where a bear, came charging after you and bites you. Black bears, they are typically herbivores. They are omnivorous. They will eat some meat, but they're typically herbivores. They're eating berries and things like that, different things. They will eat some meat, but they're not like a grizzly bear or a brown bear that is looking to eat anything he can get his hands on. Now, black bears in Alaska, totally different. They're a little different animal than what we have here. But our black bears, again, act like a deer. So if you encounter a bear on a trail, you want to make lots of noise. And that's gonna run them off.
Make lots of noise. You mean like scream at them, jump up and down?
Put your hands up there. Hey! Now get out of the way. They're gonna leave. It's not like in Alaska. In Alaska, if you see a bear, you're supposed to quietly ease backwards, get in the fetal position as it comes. I mean, all kinds of scary things when you hear about Alaska bears and Alaskan brown bears and the grizzly bears. You think of Revenant and that horrible scene where he gets attacked by the grizzly bear. Not the case in black bears in this state. Again, they're going to react typically like a whitetail. They're going to run off when you surprise them or scare them. Again, the only time it wouldn't happen, potentially, is when they have cubs. So, again, it's a good idea to be noisy around bear areas like that. They're not going to want to be around you. They're going to want to leave. We haven't had bear attacks in this state, really, besides the one bite I'm talking about. I know that happened after an accident. That's all that I know of. Typically, bear-human interaction involves bears getting in bird feeders, trash cans, lumbering up the road in the mountains. This time of year, a lot of bears moving around in driveways and things where folks like to put their houses on the side of mountains. It's bear country. That's where they live. So, but that's a basic quick run on black bears in this state.
So,
a big black bear here is going to be 450 pounds. Yeah. Pretty good sized bear here.
And so, so jump up and down, make noise if you see. Now, is that just for the black bear?
No, I didn't say jump up and down. That's what you do. You do that at a ball game. No.
What kind of?
You just make noise.
Yeah.
Just when you're walking, don't be quiet. Don't make noise. They're gonna move.
Is that only with the black bear, or is that just bears in general?
No, that's absolutely with a black bear. Period. In this state.
Yeah.
That's not Alaska bear. No. You do want to be noisy typically because the bear here, they're gonna leave. But brown bears and stuff, you don't want to look big around them because they're gonna come. They're bigger than you. Black bear is a little different. They're gonna run off. But we'll get I'll get our bear biologist on for a show in coming weeks as we get closer to the bear season.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
September, October, and that'd be good to talk about the bear population a little more.
Sure.
But that's a little quick rendition there on bears. Again, this time of year, a lot of problems with bird feeders. They get people's bird feeders a lot, all across. But a bear again on the eastern part of South Carolina, they are from basically Williamsburg to the coast and up, Marion County, Florence County, all the way over. Horry County, Georgetown, Charleston.
Let me ask you this: how do they migrate from, say, Williamsburg to the coast? Is there strict? They stay strictly in the forest land. Do they have to cross highways? Do you see them if
So
you're?
they cross highways a lot, but they don't necessarily migrate. They live there. And bears, typically what happens is, as a young bear gets older, particularly young males, they're going to get pushed out. And so bears, they spread out.
Mm-hmm.
They get run off by the mom. Cubs get run off by the mom, and they have to develop their own territory, particularly young males. The other males are going to run them off, and they develop their own territory, and that's how wildlife spreads, by creating new territory. We talk about bears, similar about alligators. Alligators get pushed out. You know, this time of year we're talking about alligators being seen places you don't normally see them. I knew, here we go. I'm bringing alligators into the story, which I know you love. One of our favorite topics.
I have an alligator story for you too.
I knew that was coming, but no. So same thing. Alligators get pushed out by larger animals, and they have to create their own territory. So that's where bears move around for the most part, making new territory.
Well, now somebody told me of a story. Speaking of alligators, I didn't read it myself. It might have been down in Florida. I don't think it was around here, but said a dude was throwing his frisbee, and
here we go.
And the frisbee landed in a lake, and he went in to get his frisbee, and he didn't make it out.
He never returned.
Not realizing that it was a alligator infested lake.
Okay.
I guess the lesson there is what?
Well, if you see a bunch of alligators in the lake.
No, he didn't see them though. I mean, he didn't know they were in there apparently.
Well, here's the thing. That's the silly part about Florida. Florida, there's nowhere that you can go in Florida that aren't alligators. Period.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere. And typically, a lot of times, the issues we've had in this state in recent years, and we've talked about that. We've had some more human-alligator interaction where humans did not come out so well, and humans have been and people have been hurt and killed. They are either messing with an alligator, like a 12-foot alligator, somebody's trying to put their hand on their head to touch them. It's not a good idea. Or they are walking dogs. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Next to a pond, has a nice sign that says, "Warning, alligator in this area." Well, that's a pretty good sign indicator. Don't go in that pond with your dog. Don't let your pond go lap water at the edge of the pond, because remember, we talked about that. Alligator sees a dog, tastes like chicken. He's thinking meal. Time to go. Take out. And he's going to take your dog out for food.
And if you're attached to the dog.
That's correct. He's going to pull you too. And if he senses that you're pulling him, fighting him for that meal, he's going to do what most animals do. They're going to fight for their meal. And typically thrashing around, he'll grab somebody and they may not eat you, but if they pull you under the water, you can drown. And it's a bad ending. So, and that's what's happened in a couple situations in recent years. Again, we've talked about that. Unfortunately, when we started this show, I used to be able to say we never had any, deaths from alligators. Well, that's not true anymore. We've had a couple now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an indicator, again, of the population spreading. Just like I talk about Florida having so many gators. I don't know we have a population near Florida by any means, because their climate is so conducive across the state, where in our state, I-20 is the line. There's not any alligators really in Lake Murray. And there's certainly none watering up. They're just not there. They don't make it up there. So, the lower part of the state's where alligators are because of the temperature of the water and all. So, that's kind of a natural barrier for us.
We've got more and more people, of course, moving to the coastal areas.
We do, and we have people putting houses on the edge of swamps and great places on water because they want waterfront. When you have waterfront, you got alligator front too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it comes with a deal. They're there. So again, remember, we today, matter of fact, I was going to bring this up. Today was the closing time, 5 o'clock today, for putting in for the alligator tags, for the alligator hunt tags. So today it closed, and that season again opens up. Remember, in September, goes through October. I think it's the weekends. I've slipped my mind right now, but we'll talk about that. I've talked to our alligator, one of our alligator biologists, Jay Butt-Philosophy, is going to get on the show with us and talk about that as we get closer to the season. Just give us a report on what our alligator population actually is in the state now. He's, in fact, out right now doing counting alligators. So I called him earlier today to kind of go on the show and talk about alligators, but He is actually counting alligators tonight. So
where's he
couldn't
counting
do it
alligators?
Saturday night.
Where is he at?
He is down at the coast, specifically at our coastal reserve,
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Coastal Reserve. He's down there counting alligators as part of a survey, annual survey they do to just compare, where we were last year and years before, to track what alligators, how alligator populations are changing.
Is your guess that the population is up?
I think the alligator population is climbing steadily to a degree. Is it climbing at a very drastic rate? No, and that's because of our season. Our season does cut back alligators. Does it completely knock them back? No, it does not. But it does slow the increase, and the design of the hunts is to keep the population from expanding. And potentially, lower it a little bit, but not drastically.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be careful. It's always kind of a little bit of you got to kind of play at both sides. You don't want to completely get rid of all alligators. They do serve a purpose. People want to hear that, but they serve a purpose in the ecosystem. They remove turtles and snakes. That's what they eat. When they get bigger, of course, they eat other things. You eat dead animals and things like that, or they could grab a deer. They would, edge of the water potentially. But again, this is not like Africa. I say that all the time. They're not like crocodiles. They're not that aggressive. They don't come out of the water, grabbing a deer and pull them in. They're going to get easy meals in the water. If there's an animal that drowns, they're going to eat that animal that drowns. If it's dead fish, they're going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we tell people all the time, do not clean fish on a dock and throw the dead fish in the water or parts in the water, and then the next week wonder why the alligator's sitting by your dock. It's there because he found quick, easy food, and he's associating that now with you. Every time he sees that person walk out on the dock, he's expecting fresh fish to hit the water, because that's what happens when you clean fish.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just some of those tidbits. And it seems like we talk about this every year, but people do it year in, year out. They go on the docks, clean fish, and then complain next week and want to know why there's a big alligator out by their dock. So there's a cause and effect of that. So anyway.
Well, like you like to say, alligators, they have a very small brain, and they only have two things on their mind, right? Two things on their mind?
That's correct. Eating and reproducing. That's it.
Sounds like the typical guy I run into at the golf course,
I knew. I was fixing to say, someone might say, sound like a guy, but no. We think about more than that. Come on. But
we do.
But alligators absolutely just eating and breeding. So
yeah,
when they're looking at you, they're having to decide, do I eat it or do I breed it? I don't want them thinking any one of those with me. That doesn't work on either side for me.
All right, real quick. We got about a minute left. What's coming up next on the hunting calendar agenda? What's next thing in line for the season?
So right now, we're our legislative season just ended. We're waiting. We're basically in the summertime. This is fishing time. It's very hot right now. I don't have to tell anybody that. It's been 100 degrees. I don't remember it being this hot still in June in recent years, but it is very hot. So when it gets hot, fishing slows down. The next hunting season that's going to come in is going to be deer season in August 15th in some of our coastal counties. In game zone 4, it'll come in. It's going to come in the 15th. Rest of the game, the next game zone comes in the 1st of September. And then dove season comes in the first Saturday in September, generally speaking, Labor Day or the first Saturday, whichever one comes first. So that's our next season's coming in. We are going to begin dove banding, and the next about 2 more weeks, we'll start banding doves for the month of July. We always talk about that, but that'll all start. So that's kind of what's going on in the state right now. Again, predominantly right now is fishing. Folks are fishing. And when it's hot like this, fish are going to go to deeper water where it's cooler. And they get out shallow so much because it's just so hot.
Yeah.
They're going to go down to cooler water. So
you see folks.
Coastal fishing is picking up.
I was going to say, you see folks heading out to the Gulf Stream and getting way on out there?
Not now. It's getting late in the season for that. That was in April, early May maybe. But this time of year, not so much. More inshore fishing now. Redfish, your spot tails, or your speckled trout, and flounder, of course. Remember, our flounder limits have changed a little bit. Let's keep that in mind. Check out the regulations for that. And don't forget, I keep reminding people, go online, go on your phone and load the app, Go Outdoors SC, on your phone. Look in the App Store whether you've got a Android or Apple phone, and it'll allow you to load your customer profile on the phone, ask you a few questions, date of birth, that kind of stuff, and it'll allow you to load your license on your phone. You don't have to have your license anymore except on your phone. So it makes it very convenient. So go online, go on your phone to the App Store and load Go Outdoors SC.
Major, it's been a bear of a show. And
a bear of a show.
We appreciate that. I just had that on my mind after seeing those stories, and I said, this will be perfect for leading off with the major. So we will see you in a couple of weeks. Are you taking any vacation anytime soon, or are we just going to keep working you?
Try to go to the beach, maybe. Enjoy the beach. We'll see. Go down there and see those bears, coastal bears.
Well, just remember, make noise. You don't have to jump up and down, but just make some noise.
That's correct.
Well,
have a good night.
Thank you. Take care. I'll make noise, all right. If he can hear me running away and screaming back at him, I guess that'll be the necessary noise to get away from the bear. All right, that'll do it. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Chris, for being with us. We'll be up at Clemson tomorrow to catch the press conference with the baseball coach, then back here in Columbia for Sports Talk. We'll be all about it then. See you then.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point.
WQX